Good morning, everyone. My name is Nealay Patel, and I am a designer for Jesse James Beads. Today, have I got a fabulous project for you. Today, we're going to be making the fabulous soft flex wire fall necklace design. Now, check that out, guys. It is fantabulous because it is color blocked using colors from the Pantone collection. This is Golden Lime and Shaded Spruce. And particularly what I'm going to show you is how to make these beaded rings using soft flex wire. Now, if you're not familiar with soft flex wire, I do want to tell you a little bit about it. It is a stainless steel nylon coated wire strands that have been woven together and is covered with the coating so that it prevents a couple different things. It does become non-tarnishing and it is kink resistant. The two particular types of wires that I want you to be aware of is that there is an Econoflex, which is what I'm using today, and then there is the normal packaging, which you've seen, which is really the difference is the number of strands. So this is 49 strand and this is 7 strand, and the less number of strands makes it more structured and less flexible. And so if you're thinking about it, when you're making this design, you're suspending beads from it, so you want to create that round ring shape. And to keep that structure, you definitely want to go with the Econoflex, which Jesse James Beads will be carrying. And so if you check out their website, www.jessejamesbeads.com, and under the featured menu, you can, the shop menu, they have several different products out there, and definitely check out the soft flex wire underneath the menu. So now I want to talk about the beads because I am absolutely in love with the Fall Pantone collection, and I think they still have some left. So you'll want to check out jessejamesbeads.com, and that will be under the featured menu. I can't promise how many there will be left. I know the tutorials have been really helping the beads fly right off the website, and so creativity and definitely the product make the big difference. So check that out. I'm going to actually switch my view so that we can get started on this tutorial, and so I'm going to try and do this as gracefully as possible. Alrighty. We are. Now I want to quickly go over some of my materials that I'm using. Now obviously we've checked out the wire, and here I have the Econoflex that I'm going to be using, and it is in a blue color to match the navy beads that I'll be using today, which are these guys. Now if you're like me, I would recommend getting the bundle, which includes the two different types of strands plus the elements and the inspirations beads mix. And just dump them in a Tupperware. I promise it is the best thing that you could possibly do, just because look at all the different types of beads that you get. And the great thing is that you get different sizes, which is very important for this design. I'm going to put the design on the board so that you guys can see that. Here we are. Now you see how I'm using the big and small beads interdispersed with this. And that's what we have here. So, alrighty. I have that wire right here. You'll need a Econoflex, and I'll be using approximately a foot per ring. And if you don't have Econoflex right now, you can use the regular wire, which is right here. The only thing I would recommend is making your loops or your rings a little smaller. That way it'll retain the shape a little bit better. Okay, tool-wise, you're gonna need your flesh cutters that'll be used specifically just for the beading wire. You're going to need, of course, the Jesse James beads, and here I've just selected a few of the smaller ones of the different sizes. You're going to need some crimps. These are 2mm crimps. And the bigger beads you'll need for between the bead loops, but I'll go over how to connect them here in a bit, which is just with the half-hard wire. And for that, I recommend getting the 20 gauge half-hard wire. Here I have soft flex wire particularly. And again, I'll show you how to connect those. But tool-wise, you'll need a pair of crimpers, and I have some here with from Zaron. And then a pair of round nose. And some double flesh cutters for the half-hard wire. Alright, I'm going to set those aside. Now, here's what we're going to do first. We're going to cut the wire about a foot length, and then I'm going to actually put this a little bit out of the way. I'm going to string on 3 beads from the Jesse James beads. This is particularly from the Navy collection. So you can think about what you want to pair it with as well. All right, here's where the magic happens. We're going to go through that first bead to create a loop, and then we're going to pick up another bead, and basically we're going to work backwards in what bead we go through next. So I went through the first one, so now we're going to go through this one. Okay, and again pick up one more bead. And now the only one that I haven't gone through from that first round is this guy, which was the second one that I had strung on. But you can kind of see that my loop is already formed. So now I'll just add in the third bead. You don't really have to because it looks like there's a lot going on here, but for me, more is more. And you could really string that onto any side. I'll show this technique again, just so we get the idea here. But you can see that all of my beads are now strung on. So now I'll simply just crisscross the wires into a crimp. Again, we're using a size 2 crimp by Softflex. And I'm gonna leave a little bit to trim off, but I don't want too much sticking out because that's wasting wire and I don't like to waste wire. Okay, and you'll simply just put this inside of your crimper and press down, turn it on its side, and press the crimp together again. That's pretty much it. So now you'll trim off the extra wire and spread the beads around, and that basically creates your lovely little loop. Okay, pretty easy. I'll do it one more time, again, just to show how easy and quick this goes. So I'm measuring, give or take, a foot. I kind of just eyeball these things anymore, but you could certainly use a measuring tape. And I'm going to string on 3 beads. Let's use some different ones here. Let's use some that are slightly bigger. And the good thing about using the different types of beads is that you can really get this technique a lot easier through memorization. And by that I mean, since we have 3 different distinct beads, I'm going to pick up another one that is not matching, and I can go through this dark blue one that I went and strung on last. Oh, whoops. I needed to string through it before I added that extra bead, so there we go. So I'll string through that dark blue one first, then add on my bead. And then it looks like I went through the pearl at the end, so I'm going to go through that. You're basically just working backwards. So you have the navy dark one, then the pearl, and then this crystal-y one that you'll go through. If it'll let me. Seems to be stuck in there. There we go. Just wasn't pushing hard enough. Okay, so now I just have that crystal-y one left at the end. And so I will string on another Jesse James bead. And I'll go through that crystal-y one. Cool. So now I probably just want to add on one more for funsies. And I'm just going to crimp the wires. Now you can go through quite a bit of crimps with this design, which is great, I think, because then you get a lot of practice in with crimping. Okay, there we go. Just gonna go through my crimp pliers. And you'll simply trim off the extra wire. Whoops. Now that I have 2 different rings, I want to connect them together. And this is where your half-hard wire, remember we talked about 22, I mean not 22, excuse me. I would do either 18 or 16 gauge. In this case, I've got 20 on hand, but that's okay. This seems to be thick enough to work. it just really depends on the size and the weight of your beads. And lucky for us, these beads might be huge and gorgeous, but they are also lightweight and easy to wear. Another feature why I love Jesse James beads, because they really think about the user end of who's putting this stuff on. And let's see, I need my cutters, my double flush cutters, to just snip off the end, and I'm going to use my round nose pliers to make a simple loop. There we go. And I've got a little bit of an opening, so I'm going to use that, and I'm just going to slide this guy in. Just like that. And close. And my chain is coming together. Now, both of my simple loops are facing two different sides, so what I want to do is actually just make them point on the same plane there, so that way it sits flat. Okay, open that up, this guy in, and close them. That's it. That's my chain to make this gorgeous design. All right, I am going to point the camera back around and talk about how to wear this design. Let's see if I can do this successfully again. All right. What we made is the chain. Now, let's talk about the beads, because the Fall Pantone collection is my, so far, absolute favorite of all the collections that they've done. Only because she started out with 10 different ones, I think, that they put together. And now, since they've been selling out, which I hope there's still quite a variety left, but here I'm using Golden Lime and Shaded Spruce, but there is no clasp on this design. It is pure beaded chain, and you could wear it in all sorts of ways. So really the imagination and the design is up to you. The technique, now that you've learned it, you can definitely utilize it. And if you loved this design and many others that I've made, you could check out the YouTube channel that Jesse James Beads has and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you like me, and if you like the tutorials that I do, you could check me out on Facebook at my my brand, I guess. It's Beads and Bubbles. So just head up the search with Beads and Bubbles and come like me. I do tutorials and designs the last Wednesday of every month, and I always do it with champagne, because who doesn't love crafting and champagne together, right? Alrighty. Well, until next time, I know we've got some more fabulous tutorials planned. We'll get those out to you guys, and so you can create, make beautiful things, be inspired. And Nealay Patel loves Jesse James Beads, and Nealay Patel loves you guys out there. So definitely tune in, check us out, and stay tuned. We have more coming to you. All right, bye. Have a great morning.